Hello everyone, I'm Braden. Today we will discuss consonants. Consonants are actually not complicated. Often what people lack is a clear method to organize them. Compared to vowels, consonants are much easier to master. This is because the vowel space cannot be controlled and tends to shift. Different regional dialects will have variations in vowel space, even within the same city. However, consonants don't have those annoying shifts. The methods of obstruction are relatively fixed, so confusion is less likely to arise. Without further ado, let's take a look at the IPA consonant chart. Wow, it may appear complicated at first glance, but don't rush to exit. I will break it down slowly to help you understand. Now you can see the term pulmonic, which comes from the Latin word for lung. This means this entire chart refers to sounds produced by airflow from the lungs. Some may wonder, are there other ways to produce sounds without lung airflow? The answer is yes, but those sounds are not significant in languages, so we will just focus on this chart. The IPA consonant chart also has three main attributes, similar to the vowel chart. The horizontal axis indicates the place of articulation. You might notice many unfamiliar terms here. For example, bilabial actually means both lips, and it uses the term bilabial instead of lips. This is normal since most academic vocabulary comes from Greek and Latin roots. While this can be cumbersome because you need to memorize these terms, there's also an advantage. These Greek and Latin terms are generally universal across European languages. When you look at academic texts in French, you'll find that the terminology is essentially the same. This shared academic vocabulary can save you a lot of trouble. Later, I will show a slide that explains each place of articulation in detail. But now, let's look at the vertical axis, which indicates how airflow is obstructed during sound production. The first row is nasal consonants, followed by plosives, also known as stops, fricatives, and approximants. The others are less common. The third feature of consonants is voicing, voiceless versus voiced sounds. They usually pair together with voiceless on the left and voiced on the right. Now, let's examine the places of articulation more closely. If you refer back to the IPA chart and find it confusing, feel free to revisit this slide for clarification. Bilabial refers to sounds produced using both lips. Dental indicates sounds articulated with the tongue against the teeth. Alveolar pertains to the area known as the alveolar ridge. Palatal refers to the hard palate, which encompasses a wider area. Velar relates to the soft palate region. And the uvula, located in the back of the throat, is less visible from a side view. It's better observed in a frontal cross-section. We will discuss the uvula in detail later, so I won't elaborate on it now. As for the pharynx, it is located in this area. Returning to the IPA consonant chart, I have highlighted all the consonants available in English for you guys. Now let's focus on plosive consonants. These three pairs of consonants are common across many languages. It's crucial to distinguish between aspirated, with a burst of air, and unaspirated sounds. Understanding these differences can significantly ease your journey in learning new languages. To help clarify these concepts, I have created a comparison chart that may help you understand. First, let's discuss the difference between aspirated and unaspirated sounds. Both of these are voiceless sounds. A voiceless sound is produced without vibrating the vocal cords. You can create it without engaging your vocal cords. When you make an aspirated sound, the airflow is more pronounced. It typically occurs at the beginning of English words such as pin and pan. In contrast, a non-aspirated sound means you don't need to push the airflow out forcefully. For instance, in English, the word spin is crisp, but does not have a pronounced burst of air. As you can see, unaspirated sounds usually appear in the middle of words, except in cases of double spelling like apple. French does not have aspirated voiceless sounds. It only features sounds similar to the English spin, such as per. In contrast, a voiced sound involves the vibration of the vocal cords. If you do not vibrate your vocal cords while producing a sound, it is not considered voiced. An example in English would be the word bang. The voiced sounds in French align with those in English and many other languages, making them relatively easy to recognize. As previously mentioned, consonants do not shift as vowels do across different languages. Once you master the articulation methods for consonants in one language, you can apply that knowledge to others without much additional effort. Understanding the distinctions among these three types of sounds will resolve about half of your challenges with consonants. For example, in Korean, the consonant system primarily differentiates between aspirated and non-aspirated sounds, with an additional category for tense sounds. We will delve into Korean pronunciation in future videos. Now let's listen to standard recordings to understand how these sounds are produced. The key with plosive sounds is to learn how to articulate aspirated voiceless sounds, non-aspirated voiceless sounds, and voiced sounds effectively.
Pat, pat. Pen, pen. Spin, spin. Bat, bat. Bed, bed. Baby, baby.
Père, père. Pain, pain. Pomme, pomme. Bon, bon. Bébé, bébé. Bateau, bateau.
Now, let's look at the row for fricatives. First, we'll discuss how they differ from plosives. Plosives are characterized by a sudden interruption of airflow, meaning you can only produce the sound momentarily. In contrast, fricatives allow for continuous airflow. For example, when you pronounce F, you can sustain it as f indefinitely. Similarly, with S, you can keep producing that sound as long as you wish. Let's talk about dental sounds. They are produced in the same place of articulation, but differ in voicing. One is voiceless, and the other is voiced. The sound in think is a voiceless dental fricative, while the voiced counterpart appears in the or that. Many people mistakenly pronounce think as fink, but that is incorrect. Now you know that the correct articulation involves placing your tongue between your teeth. It's not complicated. Once you understand where to position your tongue, you can correct your pronunciation. Next, let's listen to standard recordings to hear how these sounds are produced.
Think, think. Bath, bath. Thin, thin. This, this. That, that. Mother, mother.
Now, let's take a look at post-alveolar sounds. The post-alveolar sound is produced by placing the tongue just behind the alveolar ridge, as in the word sheet, while the voiced counterpart is produced in the same area but vibrates the vocal cords, as in vision. Next, let's listen to the recordings.
She, she. Fish, fish. Machine, machine. Measure, measure. Vision, vision. Garage, garage.
Now let's look at the flap sound, which is commonly referred to as alveolar tap. This sound typically occurs in the middle of words like in Spanish. The flap sound is produced when the tip of the tongue quickly touches the alveolar ridge and then retracts, which is why it's called a flap. It's crucial to differentiate this from the phonetic symbol L, which is a lateral approximant. But why is it called a lateral sound? When articulating this sound, the tip of the tongue lightly touches the alveolar ridge and does not retract immediately. Instead, it remains in contact while air flows around the sides of the tongue. For example, you can continuously say l. In contrast, in languages like Spanish or Japanese, the flap sound must retract quickly. Next, we have what is known as the alveolar trill. The term alveolar refers to the area of articulation, while trilled describes the manner of articulation. Producing this sound requires practice, as it can be quite challenging. Therefore, I won't go into detail here to avoid extending the session too long. In the future, we will dedicate an entire video specifically to discuss this trill sound. Now, let's listen to standard recordings to hear how these sounds are produced.
Pero. Caro. Caro. Para. Perro. Carro. Alrededor.
Pero. Caro. Para. Rosso. Roma. Ruota.
Now, let's talk about uvular sounds in French. The term uvular refers to sounds produced using the uvula. Thus, this entire column represents uvular sounds. But what exactly is the uvula? Its anatomical name is uvula, but there's no need to remember that for now. To produce a French uvular fricative, you need continuous airflow that vibrates the uvula while ensuring it is voiced. Let's listen to standard recordings of this sound.
Rouge. Rue. Regardez.
Returning to the topic of phonetics, when it comes to learning pronunciation in any language, nothing is more crucial than extensive listening. While the IPA provides a systematic and scientific approach, a single chart can only convey so much information. Each language possesses its unique subtleties in pronunciation that can only be truly appreciated through attentive listening. So, as I always emphasize, listen more and imitate. Our channel will continue to update with videos focused on listening practice, tailored to complement upcoming lessons. We are currently releasing a series of courses for different language learning, and we'll update the links in the video description or in a pinned comment. In the next episode, we will release a comprehensive video on English phonetic symbols and how to articulate English sounds. If you're interested, welcome to subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. We will do our best to respond to each one. We also encourage you to share your insights and experiences during your learning process. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you could give us a thumbs up. See you next time. Bye.